Howdy folks, welcome back to another Bad 66 Chevelle video here. He had been working on their truck here for a little while, and I went ahead and had our alternator on it. I got that installed now, got it all wired up, so we're pretty good to go on that. Had her belt on it. And I found our bolt because I couldn't find this bolt right here at the bottom where it bolts up. I couldn't find it and ended up looking in the glove box, and there it was. So just about everything this truck was missing is just about in the glove box. But anyway, we got it all nice and tight here. So we got that all wired up and ready to go. I went ahead and just a little update here. I've been working on the transmission lines now too. And what I did is I got some 5/16 tubing here, and I went ahead and bent it up the way I needed it, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily fix these lines down here. I got our one line pretty close. Now I'm going to have to go back and change that one fitting because that fitting is not long enough. It's not getting a tight seal against the fitting that goes in the radiator. I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. This fitting right here. So it needs to be a little longer, because what's happening is when I'm putting these lines on here, so I got this one right here tightened all the way up, but so you can still move the line. And I don't like it, so I had to get it a little longer fitting there. It's about time, because as deep as this is, by the time you screw that all the way in there, it's not enough threads on it to get a good tight seal. So we'll fix that. We'll get some longer fittings. And this radiator came with these two fittings. It's just too short. By the time you screw it all the way in, it's not enough threads to pull the line tight against the flare inside there and to get a good tight seal. But we're going to fix that. One thing you want to do too is you want to make sure the furthest line back, which would be this one, because I've already traced it here, but the furthest line back that goes on the back of the transmission, you want to make sure that one is hooked up to this side. So you want to make sure that one's hooked up right. And then the front line on the side of the transmission, which would be this one right here, you want to make sure this one is hooked up over here. It's really important there. You want to make sure you get your lines hooked up right. So this one right here is the back one. When I say the back one, what I'm talking about is on the side of the transmission here. Look up, this line right here. This line right here is what. So you want to make sure this is the furthest one back, because our front one is right in here. See our front one? See, it threads into the case right in here. This is our rear one. If you follow it all the way back, so you come back, and then it goes right into the end of the case. You want to make sure this rear one is all the way on this side of the radiator, and then the other one obviously goes over there. I went ahead and started bending up the tubing here to get this pretty close. Now I'll have to cut this off and reflare it because our brass fittings ain't long enough, but that's no big deal. We only have to reflare this one end. Same way with down here. We'll have to pull it off and reflare that in. That ain't no big deal. It's coming along. Got it bent up pretty close. By the time it'll go something like this, it'll go into that and thread into there like that, and bend it all the way around to tie into that line. Is what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put a compression fitting on it, which is this right here. So I got to go back and get another compression fitting, then we got to get a little longer fitting for right here, so to pull our line tight up in that fitting there, that way it won't leak. Because this is just temporary. I just want to make something up so that I can take down the road and see how it shifts and everything. And I tried to bend it too so that it's not, you know, restrictive or nothing. Try not to make too sharp of a bend. And I think it came out pretty decent. That's the first time I ever really bent a line, and I took my time and tried to do it the best as I could. It's not perfect, but I think it'll work, and it's not too restrictive either. But so we'll make sure it gets good flow. Now you can buy these transmission lines. You can actually order them. They're all pre-bent. So I had found them for like 60 bucks on eBay, and they're all pre-bent and everything. And that's actually what I did first. I looked it up to see which end, you know, rather this one, how the orientation, how the lines are supposed to go, and then was referencing and following the lines, and then that's how I found out that this one goes right here, and then this one right here goes right here, because I want to make sure they were hooked up right. Because eventually I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna order new lines. This is all just temporary, just so I can run it. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now. Got this all bent up here. So I gotta go back and cut this end off and get a longer fitting and reflare it. And we'll be a step closer. I'm gonna go back up in here too and pull this fitting out here, and I'm gonna seal that up and put that back in. I'm gonna get some of that gaseola and put on there. And I'm gonna get a fuel filter for this line here. Eventually I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna order the steel line that's pre-bent there. It bends all up to your carburetor. I'm gonna get that for it too. You want to make it look, you know, halfway decent. But we're getting there. Because originally what I did is, I was running this thing before, I just took this hose here and just looped it around to the old line and just bypassed it temporarily so I could run it. But I want to get it fixed, you know, kind of right now. And those of you wondering, these are 5/16. So anyway, that's where we're at. Trying to get this thing kind of close as I can to where I can take it down the road, because I want to see how it shifts. And as long as it shifts pretty good, then eventually I'm gonna come back and I want to see if this motor gets hot or anything like that, and just kind of check it out. And Then I'm gonna probably just take and look for another 302 eventually. I just want to get this thing where I can run it up and down the road. We're definitely getting there. I'm glad the previous owner had this thing, that everything he took off, he put in the glove box. There's an alternator bolt too, and there's spacer. I actually went to the salvage yard and bought an extra bolt and spacer. I didn't think this truck had it, and then I looked in the glove box and I found it. So pretty much everything that was missing has been in this glove box. And I found a little clip to the kick down that goes on the side there. I found that too. I just about found everything I needed. Gotta get a radiator cap yet. I'm gonna try and flush this cooling system out a little bit. We got to get a thermostat, because pretty much where we're at now is I got to get them fittings down there. I got to get a little longer fitting, reflare that end and then the other end, and then get another compression fitting right here for the other line. And then we need a radiator cap and then a thermostat. And then I think the last thing is then we'll get our PCV hooked up. And I think we'll be pretty close. It'll be pretty close enough to where I can run it. I'm going to take this thing off too. Originally it had the original factory air cleaner. It's a tube that goes from here, that connects from here, that goes over to the other end of the air cleaner. I'm going to pull that off. I'd like to find the original factory air cleaner. I would hook all that back up, but for now I'm going to just take it back off. I don't want it to get messed up. But I want to get this thing running and driving where I can take down the road, and I think I'm going to end up doing the brakes on it, because I think the best bet would be to do the brakes on it first, and then we might come back and get this motor, because I was thinking about that, because by the time I get another motor and put in it, then I'm going to have to turn around and do the brakes. And I think it'd be better to go on and go through these brakes first, because it runs anyway and it's not going to hurt it, because it's got a blowed head gasket, and I mean, you can't really mess it up worse. But at the same time, I don't want to run it too much, because I'd like to save that motor, because I might end up overhauling it one day if it's not too bad. But I think we'd be better off just to do our brakes first. Once we get our lines hooked up, and I'm going to get a voltmeter and check our alternator and all that, make sure we're charging and everything. But after all that's done, we'll do our brakes, and then we'll come back and we're going to start looking into this 302. And those of you that don't know, on the wire in here, the black one right here is your power, because if you follow that back, it goes to this post on the solenoid. That's your power. So this one is your power. This one right here, or it's following to it, it comes right here and goes down, and then goes right here at this nut. That's your field, because if you follow that back, it goes all the way back and goes right here to this F. That's your field. This is your power. This is your field. And then your stator is all the way back. Y'all can see that. It's hard to see it, but the stator is all the way back. There. There. Right where my thumb is. That's your stator. That's how it's wired up. So you got your field, and you got your stator, and then you got your power, and then your eye is your indicator light for when you turn the key on. And then that is this wire. This was the only one I can't figure out. That's what goes to that. So I just wrapped it up temporarily until I can fix that, but you really don't have to have that, but I'm gonna come back to it and fix that. But we got our 3 ones on there because you gotta have your power, gotta have your field, and your stator. And the other post right here is your ground, which really theoretically it grounds through this bracket to the block through this bolt. But I hope it helps y'all a little bit. This is coming along. Definitely coming along. I got that alternator for I think $53. That's counting the core. So if I can send them a core back, I think the core is like $12 or something. I'll have a little less in it. And I think this is a 63 amp. I was actually thinking about putting a GM 10SI on here because it's got the internal regulator and all that, and then I could do away with this box here and do away with some of this wiring and clean it up, because those are one of the easiest alternators to wire up, because really all you need is your power, which need to still keep the power, and then you just need a wire from the ignition side post of the ignition switch. And then you need another power wire that goes from your power on your alternator post, which is a number 2, I believe, that goes to your positive side on your ignition switch. Or some people will actually jump it over, which that's fine too if it's like a tractor or something. But anyway, let's go get a AC Delco 10SI and put on here. That way I could get rid of that box, and then it'd be internally regulated, and plus it would be better anyway, because you wouldn't have dim headlights at night. Because every time you stop at a light, you know, you hit your brakes and then your headlights get a little dim. That's why I was wanting to go to an internal alternator, and I still might one day. They're just really easy to wire up. Nothing to them. Then they actually got the 1-wire alternators too. But the only problem with them is you lose your indicator light, which is this light inside here. So when you turn your key on, this light right here where it says alternator, when you turn the key on down here, that's supposed to light up. Well, if you got a 1-wire, when you turn the key on, you lose that light because it's a 1-wire. Now they make a piece that you can wire in there to keep it, because it's supposed to sense when it drops below 11 volts. So it's ways you can get around that if you do upgrade to a 1-wire. But for now, I just decided to, because I was going to put the 10SI on here, I just decided for now I was just going to keep this voltage regulator, the external one, for now. Later on, we're definitely going to upgrade. Just be a whole lot better. We'll go to a little higher amp too. Might go to like an 80 amp or 100. Especially if we get a radio and stuff for this truck down the road. That'll help it a little bit.